Hey folks, I'm Cuz Strickland, and welcome to this episode of Tennessee Dirt, presented by Mossy Oak Properties, Tennessee Land and Farm, a podcast dedicated to helping you find your favorite place. Each episode, we'll talk about all things related to land ownership and conservation throughout the great state of Tennessee. And don't worry, there'll be plenty of hunting and fishing stories too. Our goal here is to help each of you live your best life in the Tennessee dirt.
Folks, welcome back to the second episode of Tennessee Dirt. I'm Jamie Spencer. To my right, Mr. Davis Fleming. How you doing, Davis?
I am awesome this morning.
And to my left, this man needs no introduction. One of my personal heroes, Mr. Cuz Strickland. Good morning, Cuz. How are you?
It's funny you use that word hero because you know you're one of mine. I explained that again to your wife and your beautiful daughter yesterday. I was like, every time Jamie Spencer makes a post on Instagram, I will comment, I want to be you when I grow up.
Well,
you know how to live life. That's why you were destined to be in the real estate business, to help other people do that. It's awesome.
Well, that's kind of you to say, and I'm humbled by that, but I just, you know, you work hard, you keep your head down, and you help people succeed, and that's what I've tried to do. Folks, what you're seeing right here is the backdrop of the NWTF convention here at Gaylord Opryland. We're in day 2 of the convention.
Yep.
Yesterday was the opening day. Mr. Cuz, you actually opened up the whole convention. I think you do that every year, don't you?
Yeah, with a prayer, and it's humbling. I had it memorized, but just for a little behind the scenes, I had that prayer written on a piece of paper, and it was in my hat. So when I took my hat off to say the prayer, I had my notes in front of me. But I mean, timing is everything, short and sweet. So.
Are we talking about a pro at everything he does?
Never misses a beat.
Trick of the trade right there, guys. You heard it. I'll have to remember that. You know, you are such a revered kind of person around here and of course in the hunting community, but maybe a lot of people don't know exactly what your role is with Mossy Oak. Now, if you go to the Mossy Oak website and you look up Cuz on there, do you know what it says is your title? I'm sure you do.
I don't know. It used to be Senior VP, and then it went to Toxie, and Bill called me the mascot. But I think it's brand ambassador or something like that.
Yeah, brand ambassador. What for the folks listening, exactly what does that mean to you?
You know, I'll give you Jamie, you of all people deserve the inside scoop.
Good. And
this is what happened. Toxie and Bill, when this whole Mossy Oak journey started, they were the nuts and bolts. You know, building neither one of them had experience building clothes, zippers, buttons, and all that kind of stuff. And Toxie, with his head down and his thumb on things, was as good as I've ever seen.
Right.
But he wasn't the guy that was going to go speak, and he wasn't going to be the guy to go deliver this and do that. And I was like, hey, I'll do it. Yeah. Hey, I'll do it, because I wasn't good with buttons and zippers and yardage and all that. So it's like, what they didn't have actually time to do, I do it. One of the first things I had to go speak at was the Atlanta chapter of the NWTF, which is a big chapter. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they asked Toxie, and Toxie said, hey, you need to go over there and just attend. Well, I found out on the way they wanted me to speak for 30 minutes. I was like,
was that new to you? Or
had you know, and I was like, and here was my theory. And I learned this a long time ago. Because you'll see people doing seminars and all that, and you're looking out across the room of people who love this. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and teach them how to yelp. They probably already know how to call a turkey. If they're going to give me 30 minutes or an hour, I'm going to entertain them. And I had a guy at ESPN one time when Hunting the Country's TV show moved from TNN, which turned into the Spike Network. When it moved to ESPN, I had to go up there in front of the royalty 3-piece suit guys, and we were arguing back and forth about how you need to make TV, and I was looking at them going, you guys don't know anything about hunting, and they were looking at me going, you don't know nothing about TV, and we were both 100% correct. But finally the guy running the meeting kind of slammed his fist down. He said, Cuz, give me a reason to root for whoever's hunting. You guys come on, the camera's turned on, they're in a tree. He said, who is that person? Why'd you get there? He said, tell me a story. And I never forgot that.
Wow.
People love stories.
Yeah.
And they love to be in the club. So I just try to bring people along and put them in the club and entertain them a little bit.
And the old adage is people respond not to what you do, but how you make them feel.
Yeah.
And you have a way about you, whether you know it or not. And, of course, we've watched you rise in the ranks of Mossy Oak and become our brand ambassador, right? But also the things that you do with Mossy Oak Properties and especially Fistful of Dirt podcast. So we're amateurs, Davis, at this. This is only our second episode, but this is the guy we're looking up to, and of course Lauren, and you guys do a great job. Talk about that real quickly, the success of that podcast. I remember when you started it, you and I were hunting, and you said, "Hey, listen, Jamie, I'm going to do something here. I want to let you know I'm starting a podcast." You said, "I don't know anything about a podcast, but it sounds like a good idea." Lauren's kind of learned and Googled some things about it, and now here you are. How many episodes in are you guys?
Getting close to 270.
Wow.
Since and this is a big deal to Lauren, who produces.
Right.
We've never missed an episode. It's every Tuesday we put up a new one. Never miss one.
So one a week?
One a week, generally about an hour long. But she, Lauren's been there a long time, and she was one of the editors, TV editors on Hunting the Country.
Yeah.
She knows music. All good editors are frustrated musicians. I don't know if you knew that or not. They have.
Then I should be an editor.
That's right. Well, you know what the people like. But she came to me, and TV was losing popularity.
Yep.
Toxie was way ahead of that curve again on social media stuff. And she said, "Pop, you need a podcast." And I'm like, "Okay, what's a podcast?" I literally did not know.
Right.
So I went and listened to a bunch of them. Didn't like any of them. It was usually some guy. And he may have a guest, but he ended up talking about himself for an hour and dropping a few curse words. And I told Lauren, I said, we're not doing that. So we came up with a very novel idea. I'm going to get some interesting people, and I'm going to send them questions ahead of time so they'll know I did my homework, and I'm going to let them speak. And we did 5 episodes before we ever rolled it out. And I told Lauren, when she was about to push the button, I said, nobody's going to listen to this.
And now look at it.
And she said, "Pop, you have no idea." And family friendly, not cursing, all that. It wasn't a marketing ploy. It's just how we rolled. But you saw yesterday, I get so many moms that come up to me and say, "We listen to that in the truck because we don't have to worry about it." And that makes me feel good. But with all this going on, and there's some good stuff going on now, but people sometimes just need to relax and let their brain rest for a minute.
Yeah.
And look, you can search the planet till you're dead and gone. You won't find a better topic than the outdoors.
Yep.
There's things happen out here, and you know it. That's why y'all are in this business, that only happen outdoors. So I have moms come up to me. She said, "I've never turkey hunted in my life. I've never missed an episode of your podcast." I'm like, "Thank you, ma'am. You need to raise your bar."
And when we were starting this podcast, we were like, how do we even start it? And the first thing Jamie said was, "I got a guy." I got a guy who will give us this intro. And Lauren, she knocked it out of the park with the intro.
And thank you again, both of you guys, for doing that for us. Our intro is, of course, Cuz's voice. Most of you probably recognize that. Our outro is Cuz, and Lauren, his producer, created all the background music and so forth. So thank you for that, because we're just getting started. I don't know if we'll do one a week, but we'd like to do a couple a month. And for us, it's just a tool, a marketing tool for our business here, Mossy Oak Properties, Tennessee Land and Farm. These agents can get in there and get clients there. One of our agents, Doug Kinzer, who just walked up back here, he sold a farm. It was the same farm we hunted that one time. Do you remember that beautiful valley with the creeks going through it? And we turkey hunted. We didn't kill one that morning. Well, that's a buffalo farm now. A family has moved in and gotten a buffalo farm started. And, those are topics that will all fit under our title, Tennessee Dirt, and so many more. So we're excited about it. But thank you again for helping us kind of get that started and letting us see how it works. And hopefully we can do half a good job as you guys do.
Well, when Chris asked, Chris Hawley asked me to do the podcast.
Yeah.
And Lauren and I actually did one a year and a half earlier, and everybody listened to it. It didn't click. Right. And when Chris brought it up, I said, "Yeah, I want to do that." And the reason I wanted to be kind of joined at the hip with Mossy Oak Properties because of the story of my first farm.
Yeah, I want to get into that.
People have no idea
Right.
what the odds were of that happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna talk about that at least once a month. And I'm telling you guys, I get text and messages on Messenger all the time. I hate cuz I pulled the trigger. 10 acres, cuz I pulled the trigger. Got my wife on board. And it's like, it's kind of humbling, but if you can inspire and get people thinking, because I'm telling you, for me, that was a dream way too far.
Right.
No way. There's no way I did that. But you know what? And I did. I got my wife on board. She was fixing to retire because we had kids early and they were kind of getting grown. And I said, look, I want you to work 5 more years. We're going to buy us a piece of property. And the only crazier look that I got from her on that statement was at the time I said, hey, I'm fixing to quit my job and go film turkeys for her. But I said,
Same look
both times. And she said, okay. And let me tell you something. It was 98 acres. And when I was in the bank signing the note, my hand was shaking so bad I couldn't even sign my name.
Boy.
I had to shake my hand. And it's by leaps and bounds the most awesome thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Because, buddy, that family came together. And now my wife, she was a Yankee. Never been hunting and all that. Now she kind of runs our farm. She loves being out there. There's nothing like dirt. Nothing.
Nope.
Yeah. I was talking to Miss Pam, who's one of the sweetest ladies you'll ever meet, Davis, Cuz's wife, and she said she loves to mow. She loves to put her headphones on and she'll listen to podcasts and she just likes to mow. And she wants to mow more and more each time so she can be out there longer. And, we can kind of relate to that, right? It's where you kind of feel where...
At home.
Yeah, you're at peace and nothing's bothering you. And, man, it's nice. But she mentioned that to me yesterday.
Yeah, she knows more about zero-turn mowers than anybody. She's upgraded twice. And she keeps making the yard so big that one day I'm not going to have any place to hunt. But... all I do is replace the blades because our gravel driveway splits these 2 big yards over there where our shop and all that. And I'll be over there working and I'll hear that mower go across that gravel. She ain't raising that deck, and I was like, ugh. But hey, that's her happy place.
Yeah.
She couldn't do that in town,
Yeah.
It's just priceless. I can't compare it to anything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I sell some property and I get text a year later saying, thank you. This has been life-changing. And we love this place. We love this farm. We've been out here every day, and it's a good feeling to help that goal of finding their dream farm, and it's awesome.
It's the best thing about our job. I give away these Mossy Oak fire pits as a closing gift to most of my clients when they buy a big piece of property, and I'll just randomly on a Tuesday night at 10 p.m. get a picture of somebody's boots kicked up on the fire pit that I gave them, and I'm like, man, that's what it's all about.
Yep.
Let me make one point.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I was looking at it, the guy that found that piece of property for me
Yeah.
was our ex-lieutenant governor of Mississippi, Eddie Briggs.
Yeah.
Great big-time turkey hunter. He's done really well. And he drove down there with me. We're looking at the property and all that, and he can see me wringing my fist. And, he said, cuz, I can tell you're nervous. I said, for me, this is a giant purchase. He said, look, you're not buying a boat. If you get in a tight and you have to sell it, you're going to make money. Yeah. Relax. Yeah. And I'm telling you, that turned the worm for me. Yeah. And he's right. Yeah. It doesn't do anything but get more valuable and more.
But like you said, it was unattainable in your mind for so long.
They're not making any more of it, so get it while you can.
Yeah. Because it's, been a true blessing to be involved with Mossy Oak, the brand, of course, Mossy Oak Properties. I started this here in Nashville, Tennessee, a little over 10 years ago. That's how you and I met and how we were able to become friends. And we've done a few hunts together, which I've always enjoyed. And most importantly, though, you helped my beautiful bride, Abby, kill her first turkey here in Tennessee. Do you remember? You remember that?
Yeah, every second. Every second. Such a classy lady. And here's the deal. I had all girls. Can you relate?
Yeah.
And I learned a long time ago that when you get the females involved, they are way easier and way more focused and way more relaxed and way more calm. And we had a blast. She's like, Now I want you to tell me everything. Why'd you do that? Why are we fixing to do that? And it was special. I knew it was going to be. The video was unbelievable. It's still up on my YouTube channel, Cuz 411, the Tennessee opener. And of course, it was a foggy, dreary morning, and I didn't have much hope. Pretty sure she was very unimpressed, as most people are when they go with me for a couple of hours. And anyway, you could kind of feel that fog lifting. And I went down there with your cohort, and I had some MRI, most recent information. That's one of the things Primo's coined, MRI. I talk about it all the time.
I thought that was the meal you ate in the Army.
Yeah. Kind of.
That was MRE.
That's MRE. MRI is most recent information.
Gotcha.
And of course now we have Onyx.
Yeah.
So I could look. If I'd have had that when I was 19, I'd still be in prison from poaching. That tool's unbelievable. But anyway, I said, all right, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go wait it out. So we went down there to that beautiful field on that ridge top, and kind of built this little spot and got in, and we just talked about all kind of stuff. I'd yelp on that tube call every once in a while, pop, pop, get it loud so that it echo. And finally that fog lifted and you could have an echo. And the first time when the weather got good, I called whatever I did, and a turkey gobbled. And she was already fired. She heard it first. She popped me on the shoulder. Did you hear that? And I said, yes, ma'am, I did.
Oh yeah, that first gobble of your career in the hunting industry, and it is game changing.
She was thrilled, and they just kind of read the script. It was two of them, and Big Boy staying in the back. The first one came out first, struggled, but he was down below the hill. So despite everybody says, all you do is call too much and call too loud, not necessarily. Once his little scout came out in the field, which was a longbeard, I didn't say a word, and I could hear him down there gobbling. And pretty soon, here comes that head, and I said, that's our boy. And she's already up on that gun, looking through that, and he just eased right up on there. I said, now, we're going to take the one on the left. And she said, I know.
She said that?
And I said, all right, whenever you're ready. I said, I'm going to call a little bit, and he'll probably raise his head up. It was just like step one, step two, step three. And, buddy, she pulled that head net off. She had a grin that you couldn't have got off her face with a crowbar. It meant so much to her, which it meant twice as much to me.
Well, that's really cool.
I was honored you let me do that.
Well, and that's what I wanted to really, really ask you about with that question. Where you're at now in your hunting career and all the things you've done, don't you find the most joy when you're able to experience something like that where it's new to someone and they haven't done it before, especially a youth, and we all know how important it is to pass on what we're doing to our youth, but Abby and females, and I know you do a lot of veterans, things like that. That's what gives you the most joy probably when you're dealing with somebody who hadn't killed a handful of turkeys before.
Oh, no doubt. I don't know when this is going to air, but today at 2 o'clock I'm doing a 2-hour talk in the Ryman Ballroom, and it's entitled The Secret Sauce. And I put a post up this morning with me and everybody, and I know everybody's thinking I'm going to talk about the tube call, I'm going to talk about this. And what I'm going to talk about for the first 30 or 40 minutes about is people I've been with that did not know what the secret sauce was. I got some stories that you wouldn't believe about, people's egos and I'm the best call. Got nothing to do with it. But I'm going to end up talking about how the people who are great hunters, great callers, they kind of take it to another level. And it's about how they roll, what they do. And I'm going to tell some of the stuff I've seen Harold Knight doing and Will Primos behind the scenes and all that. And I have one secret sauce I'm not going to divulge until it's time, but it's people that take it to that level, that's what the secret sauce is, because you're giving somebody a gift they can't get anywhere else. I said this almost 30 years ago, and now everybody says it. But a hunter goes through 4 stages. Stage 1 is you just want to get one. No matter what it is. It could be a duck. Stage 2 is you want to kill as many as you can get into the back of your pickup truck.
Yep.
You just go on a rampage.
Right.
Stage 3 is when you start looking for the big one. maybe it's a banded mallard or a 380-inch elk or something. Stage 4, which not everybody gets to, is like, okay, you realize this is who I've become. How can I be a better teacher? And those people that get to stage 4, they already have the secret sauce. And there's nothing like taking somebody for their first turkey. And the more complicated that gets with a veteran, say a wounded vet in a wheelchair, the more complicated that is and the harder you have to work for it, the most gratifying, it gets more gratifying. And I always close my talks talking about Ryan Welch, the Rock. You've probably heard the story a bunch of times. The third kid we took from Catch a Drink. And I, to this day, have never felt like I did when I finally got him a turkey. But it's like, some guy asked me, I did a talk, I do a lot of these wild game suppers. Had a big one a couple of weeks ago. And you can always tell when there's a big turkey hunter or something in the front. He's like, how many turkeys did you kill last year? And I went, none. That's the same amount I killed the year before last.
Wow.
None. And he's like sticking his chest out. And I said, I saw a bunch that I was pretty much responsible for, but I didn't pull the trigger for every one. I killed one during COVID, and I felt bad about it. The minute I walked up to it, I went, I should have left him for somebody. You know, it's like, I don't want to miss a day. But I don't have to kill a turkey if I got somebody with me.
Yeah, I love that about you. You stay pretty active, cuz. I mean, I follow you. You love to deer hunt too, and I mean, you bow hunt. You get up in that tree stand and get it done. What's your favorite thing to hunt?
Well, turkeys are by far and away. The reason, nothing compares to turkeys, and there's a lot of reason for that. But I love to bow hunt because the older and I've always bow hunted. And I don't care what you use. I don't care if you use a rifle or a rock or a bazooka. If it's legal, you do you. I like to bow hunt because I like that solitude, and I don't use a whole bunch of trail cameras and stuff.
Right.
And I mean, nothing against them. I'll probably put some out next year for the boys.
Right.
But I don't mind going to it used to be lock-ons. It's mostly ladders now, a couple of ground blinds. I like going and sitting for that 2.5 hours or 3 hours, not knowing what's around. I know there's a big rub over there.
Yeah.
It was like,
the suspense.
Yeah, and if you know there's not a nice buck coming in, you won't even go there. And I'm not going to let myself miss a day that I'm able to go.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm 70 years old, and I'm like, man, I don't know how many days, I don't know how many years I got left.
Yeah.
If I can climb up in that ladder with my bow now, I make adjustments. That poundage gets lower every year, and my distance, I'm like, but it's like there's no place that, and I don't want to sound corny and all and say, well, I get closer to God. I'm close to God all the time, but man, if you can get out there and just let your hair down and say, I'm gonna sit here for 3 hours, there's nothing like it. And the bow hunting's a journey. Love shooting, practicing, keeps me active, pulling that bow back.
I'm like you. I'd stopped using cameras on my lease for 2 years now, and I found that just the surprise of what was going to walk by was what was bringing me joy. You become a little bit of a robot when you're seeing this certain deer, you're chasing them, you're going out. He's here at this time or this time. I just kind of did away with that, and I'm going to be going into my 3rd season now without cameras, so I agree with that. I grew up in Florida. I'm a boy from kind of the swamps, Brooksville, Florida, small town.
Big Gator fan.
I am a big Gator fan. I like for people to get to know me first before I tell them that, especially here in Tennessee. Maybe they'll like me and then they'll find out I'm a Gator later. But we grew up hunting with dogs. And my granddad, who I've talked to you about, Clyde Daniel, they called him Blacktopper. You know why they called him Blacktopper? Because he was in the asphalt business. He paved roads, So Blacktopper kind of raised me in the outdoors, and we hunted deer with dogs. We'd get out early in the morning. We'd drive all down through the dirt roads, and we'd look for the biggest, freshest track. And we'd all talk on CB radios. And then when we figured out who had the best track, we'd bring the dogs over there. The sun hadn't even come up yet, right? Just about. And then we'd get those dogs on there. And Papa and I would follow those dogs in there, and, they'd start going to yapping. But when they jumped that deer, you knew what that it was on. And then everybody's racing around on CBs talking about, where we're going to try to figure out the flushest deer. So when I moved to Tennessee in 1995, I had only ever hunted deer with dogs in Florida. And so I sat in my first tree stand in 1995. And I called my papa and I said, Papa, I just sat in a tree for 3 hours. He said, "Good Lord, son, what are you talking
Have you
about?
lost your mind?
Have you lost your mind?" He could not understand anything about that. Of course, that was 1995. Before Papa died several years ago, he got to where, of course, he wasn't hunting with dogs anymore. But my uncle, Mike, put him under an oak tree in a blind with a crossbow, and he sat for the first time in his old age. And 'cause I called him to see how it went the first morning he sat, and he said, "Jamie, I get it.
Really?
The woods came alive in front of my eyes this morning, and I've never experienced it like that."
Been a hunter his whole life.
Whole life.
Wow.
And he did not still hunt until late in
Yeah.
his years. God, I love that man so much. But that story gets me every time to think about him. And he hunted several years there before he ended up passing away. And he killed a couple bucks with his crossbow. So anyway, I love to tell that story because down in Florida we didn't sit in a tree.
Well, that's how you did it. I got another story. I'm going to share you one that it brought to mind. I'm a big wrestling fan. Plus, I'm superstitious, which tells you my mind ain't that sharp.
Right.
If you're superstitious and you follow wrestling, anyway, love wrestling. And there was a guy, Ted DiBiase, they called him the $1 Million Man. He was in the WWE. Big deal.
Okay.
And I met him. He's a Mississippi guy. And his schedule was unbelievable. When he was in his prime at the WWF, well, I met his sons, and his sons got into hunting through their grandfather. And they kept telling their dad, "You got to go hunting with us. You got to go hunting with us." Well, he's living that Hollywood lifestyle. Well, they finally made him go hunting. And they put him in a ladder stand, and he watched the sun come up. I was down there. And when he got back he was sitting on the tailgate of the truck, and he had tears just streaming down his eyes. And he's like, "I never knew what I was missing." Same story. He saw the woods come alive and all that. And I'm telling you, it wasn't 6 months. He had 2 4-wheelers and a bass boat. It changed their life. And he got that from his kids.
Wow.
How priceless is that?
And it's usually the other way around.
It's usually the other way around.
I'm a big waterfowler. Turkey and deer, I love
I
it.
ain't going to hold that against you, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
That 10 minutes before shooting time, all the decoys get set out, and you're sitting in that blind, watching the sun come up, and that first set of wings that come over the trees, it's life-changing too.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite. That first 10 minutes right before shooting time. Not even the shooting time, not even pulling the trigger. It's being out there and seeing the sunrise.
Yeah, it's a great point. You've also, your family, I know you're a big family guy. You've been able to hunt with your kids and your grandkids. Of course, Cranky, we all love Cranky.
Yeah.
Celebrity.
He's going to surpass you in social media followers at some point.
I can't wait. So.
Talk about that. What's that like to be so close to your family and be in the outdoors with them?
Here's the deal. I had all girls, and I didn't necessarily want them to be great hunters. My goal with the girls was, number one, to know where food actually comes from.
Yep.
Don't come from the Kroger. And number two, I wanted them to know the lingo around the supper table. That was it. And my oldest daughter, Amy, she took to it a little bit. She was a sports person. When Amy was 11, we won the USSSA World Softball Championships.
Wow.
She could hit a softball further than any 15-year boy. Anyway, that's another podcast. I had more fun coaching her. I coached her the whole time. Lauren was my little Ted Nugent. I had to put a governor on her. She liked it, and they had so much fun doing that. But and I figured this out because they were so tight with their mom. When I would have them out in the woods, we would talk about stuff that they wouldn't bring up at the supper table because it was just me and her, or me and both of them. And I was like, how priceless is that? And I wasn't going for Dad of the Year. I was just going hunting. Hey, you come with me. And it made me a sack full of Barbie dolls and a sleeping bag on the ground, but it meant so much to them. And when they got married, they both picked guys who loved to hunt and all that. Well, here comes the grandkids. And, the first one was a girl, and I said, that's okay. By the way, my oldest grandchild, Avery's a senior at Mississippi State. That's how old I am. But then it was followed by 3 boys, and I went, you talking about rubbing your hands, here we go.
Yeah.
I said, I told everybody's mom and dad, I said, look, if you need anything, if you need help taking them to ball practice, whatever, I'm your boy. And I had so much fun. All 5 of them killed their first turkey when they were 5. Now, Cranky killed his when he was 6. And that's the devil turkey, which is a legend. But what it did for them is it gave them a comfortable place. They know all about it. And there's nothing you can give a child, to me, more than confidence to help them.
Yeah.
Now, took the trail cameras away from. I want them to learn old school, and sometimes they'll shake their head. But just being able to kind of pass along some knowledge to them and see them get confident. Now they're bringing their buddies. Yeah. Matter of fact, the last hunt on my farm, they brought a couple of their buddies out there. 2 of them did, and Pop, we got it. I was like, you want me to? Nope. You want me to do? Nope. And I was like, I just sat back in my chair, grinned. I said, they got it.
Did you take them to Bent Creek too? Some of them.
I took them to Bent. We've been doing that forever, since they were real little. I know Amy and Pam, my wife. They both killed their first deer at Bent Creek. Matt killed his first buck at Bent Creek. Cranky killed his first buck. They're family, and Bent Creek's one of those places. It's just special. They love going down there because this is a business lesson for you. Johnny Lanier, Leo Allen, they own Big Creek. They've been there since we started. First place I ever did a mossy oak hunt. And they're in the black belt. They're not in the business, and they're a hunting lodge. They're not, and they don't have 200-inch deer. That ain't where you go to kill a giant buck, which is all the rage. But you can go down there and watch them do business. There'll be 20 hunters in there. They got a big lodge, and they're serving tea, sitting down, asking about his wife by name. How they treat their people that come through there, their repeat business is like 87%, because it's like going to your own hunting club, coming home. That's how you do business. You get that, but it's that ain't a deer hunting giant destination. It's a fun destination.
I've been there a couple times with you. In fact, that's where you got to taste my famous bull peanuts for
That's
the first
it,
time.
Which are legendary. Sometimes you needed to, if you do a video and divulge all your secrets, that one will go viral. Let me tell you
That's
this.
his secret sauce.
I know. I'm saying the odds of that happening ain't very good, because he does have a secret sauce. I'd love to know it. That may be my second favorite thing to eat in the world is his boiled peanuts. The other is cheese grits. Listen to this. I was at a hunting camp in Nebraska one time, and nothing against Nebraska. It's a beautiful place, lots of hunting, but their food is just so-so. They don't cook like we do. So anyway, I cooked this big meal. And one of the dishes I cooked for the camp was cheese grits. And boy, they weren't into that. And you could see them kind of taste and put them down. And one guy I said, you like them grits? No, indeed. And he said, the only thing I've had from down there I hated worse than cheese grits was boiled peanuts. And I went, dude, you need some therapy.
I'm not sure I can be friends with you.
Oh, I couldn't. Yeah. I'm not friends with it, but yeah. Y'all make a video and do a podcast on
boiled peanuts.
You haven't had my boiled peanuts
I haven't.
yet.
I think you brought them to duck camp in Missouri. But we were just so busy out hunting stuff, I never got the chance to get them.
Too busy killing stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Those boiled peanuts are an occasion food. You just don't do them once a week. It's like Super Bowl, opening day of hunting season.
Well, for me, every college football Saturday morning that I'm at home, I wake up and the first thing I do is put a big pot of boiling water on them. Get busy. And my kids love them too.
And he gets them perfect. They're a little bit spicy, but they're not like camel brain. They're perfect. And look, I can just see him. I know what he does. He goes and buys them peanut, and he selects them by hand. It takes 3 hours for him to get a pot big enough, because he's picking only the perfect peanuts.
Yeah. Well, you got to get green peanuts.
You got to be a perfectionist. Yeah,
You can't go to Publix and buy raw peanuts. You got to get the right peanuts. But that's another podcast too, maybe. But
absolutely.
Let's bring this back around, if you don't mind, to Mossy Oak Properties and what you have seen in the realm of how this brand, this business under the Mossy Oak umbrella has grown over the years. Chris Holly, David Holly, all the folks involved down there in Mississippi have done such a great job. And of course, you've created quite a few friendships like ours through the years. Talk about Mossy Oak Properties and how that has integrated with the brand of Mossy Oak and how it's such a good fit, and it all makes sense, right? Conservation, without the critters in the land, there is no need for all these camo patterns. Talk about Mossy Oak Properties and what, from your perspective, what's it been like?
You know, Toxie was the perfect guy to bring that up because way back in the day, we're at one point we had 5 television shows nationally. Back when TV was a big deal, 5. 3 of them ran 52 weeks a year. You stop and think about how much video you had to do that. It was overwhelming, and you could hardly never get Toxie to go. He didn't want to be in front of the camera. He didn't want anything of that. And he would, if you got him to talk about it, he said, "It ain't about me. It's about the critters. It's about the." And his whole sole purpose for working so hard and being so successful was to buy some land.
Yeah.
He knew way before anybody. Like I said, for me, dream too big. I wouldn't even let myself think about it.
Right.
That's what he wanted. He wanted to buy a big chunk of land, and everything he did was for that. And during that journey, he learned so much. You know, what's CRP about? What's the best timber practice? What's the best food plot? Man, there was nobody better to launch into the real estate business, because what that did is it was like a magnet. The people that were already kind of in the real estate business were familiar with us from television, and there's a trust factor in there. And I can tell you this, I'm not involved in the day-to-day for Mossy Oak Properties. I go to the conventions and I visit with people, and occasionally I'll go to their place. The type of people that ended up there would have been the same kind of people that started this. Like-minded, it's all about that habitat. What can we do to leave it better? And to me, that's just divine intervention. It ain't about let's turn a quick buck. It's like, no, let's study this one. And look, I've had several people call me and said, I know you don't do this, but he said, I was dealing with one of those Mossy Oak property land guys, and he said halfway into this, he dug up something and said, we need to look somewhere else. He found an issue that he was uncomfortable with and came back to the potential client and said, let's move, let's don't do that. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, what else do you need to know?
Yeah. No, that's a great story.
Yeah.
And speaking on the convention, the Land Summit coming up in a couple weeks. We're up for Office of the Year, and you do a phenomenal job of hosting it, and we hope that you call our name for Office of the Year.
Yeah, let me see if I got a couple 20s in here to work that out.
They don't show me anything till I get there. I tell them, I say, give me a script so I kind of know the timing and all that kind of stuff. And it'll say for whatever of the year, and there's a blank. And right before I get up there, he'll hand me the thing, and I was like, "That's a pretty good idea."
Yeah.
But that is that is the coolest. And I told I actually leave that night, headed to Florida, drive all night.
That's your first turkey hunt of the year every year.
Yeah, first turkey, and opens that Saturday, so we have to go down early and know that. And Chris said, "I have to do it again on this day, so I'm gonna have to leave at night." He said, "If you want to pass and leave and drive," I said, "I'm in." I said, I'm not missing that convention. I said, I'll have my truck out there packed and we'll drive. I'm going to stop at the Whataburger in Tuscaloosa about midnight. And I said, we'll make it. It's becoming a ritual, but I am not missing that convention because I want to be around those people.
Yeah. Well, you do a great job emceeing the awards dinner, and I'm so glad that we do that with you. And again, everybody loves to see you, Cuz, and hang around with you, and you're a big part of that. So thank you again for that. Davis, pretty good waterfowl season this year?
Yeah, we had a good season. We had some good weather, and that is the main thing, is weather for us down here in Tennessee. We got to have weather to have ducks.
You don't like the duck hunt, Cuz?
No. Look, I'll tell you, I say this all the time. I wouldn't walk from here to that booth to shoot every banded mallard in the fly.
These guys are eating up with it, man.
Look, I admire them. It's very passionate. Yeah. Just, it ain't my cup of tea, and I'll tell you why. Number one, we lost the only 2 cameras I ever learned back when they were $90 grand a pop, Beta SP cams, was the same day on a duck hunting started off. Both cameras got drowned in the water. Number 2, they don't taste good. And everybody says, but you ain't had mine. And I'll say, no, I hadn't. But if I chew it twice, it's going to taste like this. But some of the most beautiful video I've ever shot is waterfowl stuff, and I've been from Canada to California to Stuttgart, and it's beautiful, and I admire the passion.
You're talking about the phases earlier of phases that hunters go through. I'm in that third phase right now, and it's about how you kill them versus the numbers. Where you kill them, with who you're with, is that's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. It's a different group of people that do that. They're very passionate, and I get it. And the people that really are Mossy Oak followers are people that know they need camo, because there's a lot of sport models out there now, weird patterns that are $900 for a jacket, and I look at it and go, really? But people that depend on concealment, waterfowl guys, turkey guys, predator guys, bow hunters, that's the Mossy Oak audience as far as I'm concerned. And waterfowl, you got to deal with it from coming above. So concealment's probably bigger than that than it is anything.
Well, they say you look up, they can see the white of your eyes. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, concealment is the name of the game in waterfowl, and I think that people get that out of their mind, and they're just out there, looking up, and concealment is the name of the game.
It's funny, I didn't duck hunt a lot growing up either, and I've really been doing it a lot more with these guys, right? And to me, immediately what I realized is, how an interior designer comes into your home and fixes everything up really nice? To me, it's like, who's the best exterior designer?
With the decoys.
Who can create the greatest exterior designing scene here to trick these birds? So I love to watch all these guys, and I've gotten better at it. I'm not a big caller like these. I know when I need to shut up and sit down and let them do their thing. But this year I finally was able to kind of get a.
You should have brought your calls in here and let you give a demonstration.
No, I don't think anybody wants to hear that. But speaking of calls, and we want to get into the kind of wrap this up with the NWTF, which is where we're at today. Why don't a lot of people use a tube call when they're calling a turkey? That's kind of your thing, isn't it?
Well, it is it's for locate more than anything. It's here's the deal. Let me tell you this real quick before we get back to tube call.
Yeah.
Talking about duck calling. I went to the World Championship a couple of times. We were just getting started. Had me a 10-foot table. We were at Stuttgart at the World Championship.
Main Street.
Big time.
Yeah.
So I'm there. I wouldn't know how to kill a duck if I Googled it. But anyway, I go to the restroom and this guy comes in and he's got a necklace on with bands, all that stuff, and he's got patches on that, and he's looking at me. He said, "You kill a lot of ducks this fall?" And I thought about it. I said, "I shot a pool dude with my 22." And he just looked at me, and I walked out. And I've always wondered what that guy thought.
What he thought.
Yeah, but anyway, getting back to the tube call. Here's the deal. Here's how people. Look, I've been with as many legends as you could write down, and everybody does it different. First off, there are no absolutes in turkey hunting.
Right.
Here's how people do it. You go set up in the morning, and you got your turkey in the trees over there, and didn't work out, as it normally don't. He flew down, got with the hand shut up. Then you sit through the lull, but about 9:30, 10, you're going to start moving, cutting and running, whatever you want to call it. And here's what people do. They'll stop and they'll owl call. Nothing. Then they'll crow call. Then they'll get their little light call out. But they're gonna end up with the loudest thing they got, a paddle box or aluminum slate. And I was like, and I always thought,
at this time, I'd
got
like
a prayer.
to introduce Grand National Calling Championship Hall of Fame member and on staff with Woodhaven Call.
they're fixing to say the
Mr.
prayer.
Billy Yargus to lead us in prayer. Please join me with prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all that you do for us, Lord. We thank you that we're able to be here, be able to see all of our friends, Lord. We just thank you for the NWTF and what it stands for and what it does in our lives, Lord. We thank you we have a new president, Lord. We pray that you'll lead, guide, and direct him in all things and all ways, Lord. We pray that you'll be with us. And we thank you, Lord, for your creation and allowing us to enjoy the wild turkey, Father. We pray that you lead, guide, and direct us in all things and all ways and help us to do what's good and what's right in your eyes. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And now, to lead lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance. From Reed's Outfitters, Mr. Adam Arnold. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's have a great day, everybody. All right.
And that, my friends, is why you come to the NWTF convention.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we might just leave that in there so people can get a feel for it.
Yeah.
By the way, I wonder if he had that prayer under his hat when he read it.
Hey, I certainly have my plan B. But getting back to the locating, I'd say they get there and they'll crow call and owl call and all that. And I always, back when I was getting paid to have turkey encounters,
Yeah.
that didn't work for me.
Yeah.
It's like, because I always felt like he's out there probably strutting. There's a few hens, he's listening to all that. And you hear the term shot gobble. Well, that means something.
Yeah.
So when I get to a spot and I want to call, and the first thing I'm going to look around and say, okay, I could sit right there if I need to, but I'm hitting him with that bap, bap, bap. And you will get way more. You've seen it happen a dozen times with me. And it's like, no, he answered. That don't mean he's coming. I made him shot gobble. Now I can switch gears and get really patient because I know he's there. To me, the tube call hits a higher frequency, a louder sound. And most people who make and sell tube calls, they're really small and they have stretched latex that moves and they make little subtle sounds. I'm like, if I'm going to do that, I'll do it with a mouth call, where I don't have to move my hands. But I think people walk by a lot of the turkeys they could have hunted because they didn't know they were there. And not everybody gets that. I've been with people who say, now don't be blowing that dang thing. I'm like, hey, you show hunt.
Yeah.
I'll leave it in my pocket.
Yeah.
Because they think, but it sounds, the further you get away from it, the better it sounds.
Yeah. There's a lot of those going off at this convention. For someone who may be watching that's never come to the NWTF convention here in Nashville, Tennessee, what can they expect when they come to a show like this?
It's very, very unique. You won't ever go to any other sports show where there's so many kids, so many moms, so many couples, so many families, and everybody's smiling.
Yep.
And it has that reputation, and it has for years. What's that secret sauce? I don't know, but they got it here. You got to come. Bucket list, you got to come at least once.
Yeah. And you do an amateur kids calling contest, which I've always loved. Isn't that a neat thing to do, to have these the future of turkey hunting come up? And
4:30 on Saturdays, we have the unprofessional calling contest.
Unprofessional.
And that's right. And last year, everybody wins. Everybody's got a prize. And the last one last year, and I'll call them up there and hand the microphone to them. And I called the last little kid up. He was little, 3, 4. And I said, all right, here we go. And he crooked his finger for me to get down. I got down. He got the mic. He said, I need to borrow a call. I said, oh, okay. So I grabbed the box call. And he squeaked on it. And he got a first place hat just like it.
I love
and
that.
let me tell you something. That means so much to them little kids. You know,
Yep.
It's like only at the NWTF.
Yep.
I love this place.
Yeah, I do too. Well, any words of wisdom as we kind of wrap this thing up here, cuz? It's been such a pleasure, and I know you know what a blessing you are in my life, and to call you a friend is one of the really one of the greatest privileges I have. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for allowing me to get to know you over these years, and your family means the world to me.
Well,
And I hope you know that.
you're very special. As I told you, every time I comment on your post, it's I want to be Jane, you want to grow up. And I had a guy stop by yesterday. There's a lot of writers. It used to be writers. Now it's people doing social media and all that. And he came up and he said, I'm getting one quote from all these turkey hunting legends. And he said, I need you to give me one quote. And I said, okay, hand me your microphone. I said, there's room for everybody.
That's right.
And he kind of took back. I said, I did a 2-hour talk last year about there's room for everybody. You should go listen to it, because it is. You don't have to be a great caller. You don't have to be anything. You just got to have that. You got to have that drive and that intuition. But open your arms up. There's room for everybody. If you think you can't buy land, I'm telling you, I'm the living proof that can happen, because I was the produce guy at Kroger.
Yep.
And I made it happen.
I love that story. Let's not forget that it's our responsibility, guys, to help the youth, raise the youth, to do what we do to keep this cycle going. It's so important, conservation, preservation, the outdoors. Cuz, thank you for being a role model to so many folks out there. Thank you for what you do for the great turkey, and we appreciate you, and we'll see you in Mississippi in a couple weeks. Look forward to that. Davis, thank you, bud. Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Let's think about what episode 3 will be, and we'll get that here in a couple weeks. Folks, thanks for tuning in. This has been Tennessee Dirt, sponsored by Mossy Oak Properties, Tennessee Land and Farm. I'm Jamie Spencer. Davis Fleming, Cuz Strickland, thank you again, brother. Let's go have a good show.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for listening to Tennessee Dirt, presented by Mossy Oak Properties, Tennessee Land and Farm. And be sure to visit us at mossyoakproperties.com to connect with our team and our collection of listings located throughout the state of Tennessee.